Hey, what's up, fellow Futurecasters? Thank you for joining me for a very special episode, new format. We're looking into the future, as us Futurecasters like to do, with an October astrology forecast. I am here with my dear friend Mariana, con amor de Marte. Is that right? Did I say that
Yeah,
right?
you did. That was actually really good. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, super
Thanks. How's it
exciting.
going today, friend?
I'm so excited for this. October looks better than September.
Well, we're officially out of eclipse season, moving into October, and there's still quite a bit to chat about. Let's do like a little background. So we've had Mariana, we've had you on the podcast before. We did a wonderful standard past, present, future cast episode looking at your card reading, your tarot card reading. And yeah, we've been connected through the internet. You and I, we should say, are both first year students in Austin Coppock's Fundamentals of Astrology course, and this is us dipping our toe into forecasting.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me again. I'm super excited about this collaboration. I obviously Libra season for me is I love collaborating with people and also fellow Libras, my sister signs. It means a lot to me. And yeah, I think it's such a good way to exercise everything that we've been learning in FOA. I think you're a little bit further ahead, but I think this is a really good way to get more familiar, not just with like transits, but like aspects, which are, of course, how planets communicate to one another. So I'm super excited to talk shop and to really get a grasp of what comes after eclipse season, because I think it's so we're so in the sauce when we're in eclipse season that we like kind of forget like there are aspects to look forward to and what's going to be supporting us through learning whatever it is we learned during eclipse season. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's a little quick summary of what your natal chart kind of generally speaks to? We know Mars plays a big role.
Yeah. So I named my practice, my business, Con Amor de Marte, mostly because I'm Latina from Colombia. I live in Colombia, Medellin, and I wanted to just really like reflect that. But also Mars for me is in it's detriment. Sorry, it's in Cancer. And for me, that's not necessarily a weak point, but a sign of strength. I mean, for me, you know, my warrior, my Martian warrior, like I can't do anything without putting my heart in it. So I just imagine little astrologer me writing love letters from Mars to to anyone who will read them. And so yeah, Conocer de Marte translates to with love from Mars. And hoping that I can reshape the way that people think of the crab and of Mars in general and of the warrior aspect of it.
And I think we talked a lot about that in your episode because we recorded that during Mars in
Oh yeah.
Cancer, right?
Yes. Yeah, yeah. I've had so many returns this year. It's so hard to keep track. 32 is like that one year where like you really do experience a lot of returns. So yes, Mars in Cancer was really redefining for me. Um I think it helped me. I obviously do tarot readings, and I've been kind of trying to place myself in the astrology field. Obviously, going to school and FOA is a really big part of that. Um, but I think Mars and Cancer, for the return, it gave me a little more confidence. It gave me a little more like, no, you're really on to something here. And being on your podcast was a huge confirmation of that. That reading has like stayed with me so much. So yeah.
And that was, I just looked it up so I can shout it out. That was episode 10. That was episode 10, Bilingual Divination with Mariana Ramos with Love from Mars. Yeah, and speaking of returns, we both have really different Mars. We're both very Mars ruled, but we come from very different martial perspectives. Because we talked about, and of course my internet is unstable, but that's fine. We'll figure it out. So we talked when Mars was in Cancer for you, Mars in its fall. And for myself, I actually have a domicile Mars. So Mars is natally in Scorpio for me. So as we're talking now, I'm having my Mars return. So we'll certainly talk about Mars being back in Scorpio. There's lots to talk about with Scorpio actually for October.
Oh, yes.
Lots of Scorpio action, which is really interesting and a little bit tricky now that we have Pluto in Aquarius. So let me just pull up the chart starting with October 1st, where we have transits on the 1st. And I'll say that we're recording this on September 29th. We started at, let's see, we started 6 minutes ago. So at like 10:17 a.m. Pacific time. I'm in Pacific time. And I'm going to pull up.
Happy Mars return, by the way.
Thank you. I've been dying to get Mars out of Libra. All right. Can you see this?
I can. Yeah.
Okay. So looking at October 1st. So it is Libra season, and that's a big deal for me personally. As quite the ultimate Libra. In my natal chart, I have 5 placements in Libra, including the sun at 15 degrees Libra. So my birthday is coming up in just about a week. I'm having my solar return, and it's number 30 for me. I'm turning 30 this year, which feels like kind of a big deal. And so I'll say at the top of the episode, if anyone here is in Tucson, Arizona, on October 18th, I am throwing a big birthday banger bash that is a mutual aid fundraiser for a couple local mutual aid organizations. It's at Crooked Tooth Brewing. You can find more information on my Instagram at Persephonic777. It's going to be so fun. Dress code is indie sleaze. We're going back to Tumblr in 2014 because that was, God, I was going to get dark. I was going to say that was the last time I felt real joy, but that's not true. That's not true. So this Libra season is ruled by Venus in Virgo. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the beginning, right? The beginning of it. Thank God that later in the month we get Venus in her home. But
Yes.
yeah, I think Venus in Virgo, I mean, I think she gets a lot of slack. Obviously, she's not exactly happy here, but it is a really good time to just to get organized. And for those people that have like their love language and acts of services, I feel like that's a really powerful and energizing time for them, because to me that's Venus in Virgo is the nurse and the healer and the let me take care of it for you, the martyr, you know what I mean? And some energies, and in some rooms and energies, that's welcomed, and that's like, oh, I needed help organizing my beauty routine, or I needed help, getting a new wardrobe into my closet or whatever. Like that's a really positive aspect to it. What I don't enjoy, and especially because this is happening in my first house, is her proximity to the South Node.
Yeah, that's what I was. And this is your first house. Oh my
I
gosh.
know.
Well, when you said like get a whole new wardrobe, I was like, this is a really good time for a closet refresh.
One.
Getting like, because the South Node is so much of that like purging and releasing and letting go. So Venus, if you're looking to develop a new style, like really switch up your aesthetic, especially when it comes to like the details, the accessories, Maybe even how like you're doing like your makeup, like now is a good time. Oh my God, throw away your expired makeup.
Oh my gosh. So my mom, she's a skincare esthetician.
Ooh.
I've always had like really good skin advice my whole life from her. And
Hmm.
I I did, but it wasn't until like 3 years ago that she asked me, she's like, how old is that concealer that you love so much? How old is it? And I was like, oh my God, no, it's like 5 years old. She's like, wow. Please throw that away. Yeah, do some cleaning to like really like clean like your tool. Like
Yeah.
maybe you can't replace everything, like makeup is expensive, beauty stuff
Oh yeah.
are expensive, but like definitely do a deep cleaning of it. I think that taking the maybe like do splurge on like a good dry cleaner. Like I just recently got like
Mm.
light linen and like really light clothing. I had so many stains on some beautiful clothing that I hadn't worn in so long, and yeah, it was all like beige and white clothes, and I was like, wow, talk about a virgin aesthetic.
Talk
You're just
about the
supposed to be a
virgin
Virgo.
aesthetic. I'm trying to look up this TikTok that I saw recently so I can shout out the creator of it. She referred to herself as the Lady Whistledown of astrology, which I thought was so good. But she was talking about how the vibe of Libra season with Venus in Virgo and Mars in Scorpio is giving like medieval revival.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. I found her. Okay, so she's Indie444. Shout out to your necklace that I know you're wearing right
She's
now.
virgin.
444. Indi 444 on TikTok. She's like a beautiful, aesthetically beautiful astrologer. But she's got some great takes. And she was like, yes, Venus in Virgo, Sun in Libra, Mars in Scorpio. It's medieval revival. It's like maybe a little bit of armor, but also like you're the medieval like um My Fair Lady is not medieval revival, but like you're the lady like Chapel Roan as Joan of Arc at the what was it like the VMAs last year or something. It's very much that, and I agreed with that take. I agreed with that take.
Oh my gosh, you know what that reminds me of? I just saw this reel yesterday. It's going a little viral on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok, but I'm on Instagram. And it's this guy from a Ren fair who's like it's a really hot night. And but he's doing this like cosplay Ren fair thing. And people were like looking into it and they're like, oh, it's actually extremely difficult to become a knight for a Renaissance fair.
I bet it is. They do like jousting and shit. You gotta ride horses. You've gotta like be an actor. You've gotta it's all of those things all wrapped up together.
100%. That screams like Mars, Scorpio, Venus, and Virgo.
Yeah. Yeah. I do love Virgo as like medieval revival. That's kind of fun. That's a fun Virgo, excuse me, a fun Virgo aesthetic.
Think of like braiding when I think of it.
Oh, yeah, all the intricate braids. You know that? Oh my gosh. I don't know if she's on. Oh, I think I have seen her on Instagram, but I also see this woman on TikTok who has like extremely long, like extremely long, luscious red hair. And she does all these like really intricate hairstyles with all these little braids and pins and all kinds of stuff.
Mm.
Oh, I wonder where her Venus is because Venus in Virgo tracks. But yeah, so there's in addition to it being, Libra season being the backdrop, the sun in Libra being the backdrop of the first half of the month, as like a general overview, I also want to point out that we've been in this for a while, but we're still in this like upsetting trine sextile situation, which trines and sextiles are not inherently upsetting as aspects, but Pluto in Aquarius,
Yeah.
or I should say Uranus in Gemini, trine Pluto in Aquarius, both sextile to Neptune in Aries for a little bit longer, because Neptune's going to move back into Pisces during this month. And when that happens, a whole nother set of bullshit kicks off. But yeah, what I wrote in my notes, the first two things I wrote in my notes were a little pessimistic. I put Libra season with Venus and Virgo kind of sucks. As a Libra, I would like my Libran placements to be ruled by a happier Libra personally, or a happier Venus personally.
Yeah.
But then I also wrote down Uranus trine Pluto, both sextile Neptune, is the horrifying hum in the background of it all until Neptune moves back to Pisces.
Yeah. I mean, it's a rough start. It's a rough start to Libra season, and I think that, like, until all the planets that were involved, which, like, during this last solar eclipse in Virgo, were so many aspects, so many supporting aspects, some not so supporting aspects to the solar eclipse. But I feel like Venus is playing catch up, and she's like last one to kind of go through that K2 South Node, like, purging that we experienced through the solar eclipse. And so I feel like it's very much like up until mid-October, like after the first decan of Libra, yeah, we're still kind of in this like eclipse hangover vibe where we're not fully supported yet. And yeah, Venus isn't necessarily in a position to help. But
Yeah.
but to make the cleanup prettier, right? To whatever the eclipse shook up for you, which for me hit all four axes of the chart, or AC, the ascendant, the descendant, the IC, the MC, all of it. It's making it like the cleanup like a little prettier, a little bit like, okay, and now let's put this back together and clean that out and throw that away and bring this in. And that's how I'm choosing to.
Yeah, that cleanup period. Yeah, if your rising sign is in Virgo, Pisces, what is it? Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, or Sagittarius, you really got shook up with those eclipses, and the dust is very much still settling. Venus is, of course, about like aesthetics and beauty, but it's also about like what we value, what we find valuable, what our values are, what we kind of like place that level of importance on in our life. So I feel like there is also this kind of like reassessment and, again, clearing out, purging with that South Node aspect of what is truly genuinely important to us. What do we find valuable? Where do our like kind of morals and values lie? So as that dust settles, there's kind of, I feel like those eclipses, especially that Virgo new moon that was opposite Saturn, really brought up a lot of questions around where do my values lie? What am I spending my resources on, including the resource of like my time, energy, and attention.
Yeah. At the time, Mercury was also in Virgo, which is one of those supporting aspects. And I know about September, but something I read that I really, really enjoyed was like the cleaning and cleansing of what we are absorbing, what we're taking in, what we K2 is so known for purging. It's like, okay, yeah, empty it out, but also filter what you're taking in. Make sure that more trash, right? More distractions, more unnecessary things, toxic energies. Like, it's okay to purge, but also like try not to intake so much crap. Just
yeah. Yes. Yeah. That the purging out, but yeah, I like the idea of filtering. Sometimes I have the North Node really close to my sun, and the South Node very close to my moon in my chart. So I feel like that's personally a major theme just all the time in my life of like what how what am I obsessively taking in, and what am I constantly deeply purging? And around eclipse season, for the rest of us who don't have that in their natal chart, we get that specific kind of transit when the eclipses are happening. And that's a really important point of being really mindful of what you're taking in. I tried to do a little bit of a social media break around that time and was very unsuccessful, but I'm hoping to do another one at the end of at the end of October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fully support that.
Yes. Okay, let me take us back. I set the chart back a little bit so we could see visually that Mercury in Virgo, the sun there, the south node, the moon hadn't quite swooped in yet. Even Venus wasn't there yet. Venus was still like partying it up in Leo, happily, joyfully expressing over there. And then coming back to the beginning of October. So, like we said, we have Venus. So, well, we really open the month, the first day of October on the 1st. We do get Mercury square Jupiter. So,
Yeah.
Mercury in Libra, square Jupiter. Oh, thank God for Jupiter in Cancer. I've been enjoying that, even though it's like it's been causing some personal shakeups in my life, with that being my 4th house. But
It's our one savior. It's like our champion. It's like our, honestly, like if it wasn't for the positive trine that it's making to Saturn and has been making to Saturn for like a few weeks now, that eclipse,
since Saturn moved
worse.
back into Pisces.
Yeah, that eclipse might have been a lot worse.
Yeah. Jupiter helped us out there with the action going on in Pisces. I was genuinely like scared for the Pisces eclipse, because the Pisces Virgo is my 6th and 12th house axis. So not the most fun houses, known as the houses of bad spirit and bad fortune. And I had a little road trip planned, specifically the weekend of the Pisces eclipse, like not intentionally planning that. There was just like a particular event that I wanted to go to. And I was so worried something bad was going to happen. I was like, I'm going to get sick. I'm going to get injured. Something's going to happen. But it didn't happen to me. It happened to my Libra rising boyfriend, who has it on the same axis. But and I would love to tell you this story, actually, if you don't mind hearing my Pisces eclipse story. So we drove to San Diego. We left the day before the eclipse like went exact. And so we got to experience like the moment of the eclipse on the beach in Coronado Island. Like, it was so beautiful and perfect. 2 days in a row, we went swimming in the ocean, and I live in a landlocked state. I am here in Arizona. Like, I do not get ocean time ever. We actually went to San Diego last year, and it was so cold and foggy and cloudy the whole time that we like barely put our feet in the water. But this time was perfect sunny. Day 2 of swimming in the ocean. We are jumping in the waves, having a good time, until my man looks at me and goes, I need to get out of the water now. And I was like, oh no, okay, what happened? So I follow him out. His foot is bleeding.
Oh.
He's been injured. He had been stung by a stingray while we were in the water.
Ouch.
So this Pisces for him, because I'm an Aries rising, he's a Libra rising, so we have opposite house placements in our chart. So Pisces for him is his 6th house. I had to really think about that. I had to think about that too hard. So Pisces being his 6th house, he gets stung by a stingray, injured in his foot. It all ended up being fine. The thing that was crazy about it, and that was so Jupiter in Cancer offering this trine to this situation here, was he got stung in a foot that he has had consistent pain and injury in. He's a dancer, and he had injured his foot at one point, and it was just like never the same for him. He would really frequently complain about his foot hurting, having all these issues. and he got stung like basically in the area of the joint that was injured. And so far, he has not had any more pain in his foot. I think the like venom of the stingray, this deep ocean creature, kind of offered him some healing in that experience.
I love that because
Isn't that
also
crazy?
in medical astrology,
Yes, I hadn't
Pisces
thought of that yet. Sorry, say what it is. Say what it is.
I really love that. That's all I kept thinking about. But I love that he's been a dancer and that helped him like at the end. Oh my gosh. And also I think about the 12th house hidden enemies. You know what I mean? Like so
Oh,
lurking
the
under
stingray
the
was
water.
literally hidden under the water in the sand. And I think I
Literally.
probably started screaming and blocked out what you said. But Pisces in medical astrology, and in just like as we're talking about the body in astrology, Pisces is the feet. Pisces is associated with the feet. Wow,
Yeah.
I hadn't even gone that far into it yet. Yeah. The hidden enemies. We couldn't see it. We never saw the stingray. We just knew that that's what it was. So now he has they make a little like V shape, like when it hits you.
Oh,
So he has a little V-shaped scar on his foot now.
I love that. That
What great. That was like the cool.
so he
And
was
what was
insane.
really wild,
What?
what was super wild is that so we're in San Diego. The lifeguards at the beach were like, okay, here's what you do. We took him up to the lifeguard station. There was like a lifeguard headquarters right at the beach that we were at. And so they took him up there and just had him soak his feet in hot water. Because that denatures the protein in the venom, makes it stop hurting. So it's very painful stingray venom. But we went about our vacation. He was fine. He's kind of like kept it elevated. I was keeping an eye on it. He was keeping an eye on it. I kept being like, I don't know. I really think you should like get checked out by a doctor. I do think you should get checked out by a doctor. It wasn't until the night before the Virgo eclipse, the solar eclipse in Virgo, he goes, yeah, it started to swell again. I think I'm going to go see a doctor. So he went to urgent care the day of the Virgo eclipse.
Of course.
Of course. You can't make this shit up.
Dude. Yeah.
That's just, I was like, I wouldn't have elected that, but that is what happened.
Well,
That's
and
what
that's
happened.
another thing about Virgo that is sometimes overlooked is like, and especially with Venus and Virgo, like we really want to be taking care of our health. We really, again, what we're taking
Absolutely.
in, what we're eating. It's
In a holistic way.
yeah. I stopped.
Yeah.
I stopped. Like I realized when I got back from Mexico, I was like, I'm eating a lot of rice, and so
Oh,
I cut out rice Monday through Friday. I'll do whatever on the weekends. I don't care. But I cut out rice.
interesting.
When I tell you, like, and it was right around the eclipse that I started noticing. I consistently looked like I was 2 months pregnant. You stopped eating rice, and it just went whoop, like
Oh
tummy.
my
My
gosh.
digestion is so much better. I was definitely like overdoing it, overtaking it in. And I was just like, yep, Venus is in Virgo.
And the South Node is in Virgo, and wild, like, because Virgo, like you said, it's so connected to the body and wellness, and specifically holistic wellness. I used to work for an acupuncturist who had very prominent Virgo place. She was a Virgo. She had very prominent Virgo placements. These kinds of holistic healthcare and like holistic wellness systems are so Virgo because it's
Yeah.
all the little details, how you live your day-to-day life. And with the South Node being there, there's a lot of what do we need to cut out? What do we need to purge? What do we need to place limits on? How can we like, cleanse? You don't want to overdo it because both the nodes can like bring us to extremes and to excess, but there is quite a bit around like, okay, how can I, intuitively sense into my body? Virgo is so intuitive. Virgo's so intuitive.
I read last year, I think it's in the Library of Esoterica book, about astrology, that in ancient Babylonia and in ancient Greece, people used to say that our love lives in our heart, our logic lives in our mind, but our soul lives in our gut.
Mm-hmm.
And Virgo is the gut. Virgo is that
Yeah.
secondary brain, right? So, and then like tie it back to Mercury, if like Gemini rules the mind, then Mercury rules also the gut. The gut is our second brain.
The two brains. That's absolutely, because I hear that all the time. Like, I think modern medicine is starting to catch up with that of like, yeah, we have so much going on in our gut that is very directly connected to like our brain chemistry, and there's just such a strong connection there. And they're both ruled by Virgo, brain one and brain two. I love that.
So that, yeah.
Wow.
And I think that
Oh
that's
my
that's what
gosh.
makes, I think Virgo is physically intuitive. Virgos are
Mm,
like, no, this feels off. I'm sick
yeah.
here. The analytical mind isn't making sense. Like the physical body is the vessel for Virgo. The same way that like the spiritual body is the vessel for Pisces.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Both deeply, deeply intuitive signs on that axis there. Well, congratulations to Virgos and Pisces for surviving that eclipse season for better or for worse. It's pretty much over. We've made it through. We've made it through. We got 6 more months until our next eclipse season.
Yeah. And like then that is, I'm to also say like, you know, the beginning of October does have some promising aspects, right? I mean, we look
Mm-hmm.
at, I think, the Mercury entering Scorpio, which is not like bad. It's just Mercury joining the party. And Mercury, as we've learned in school, kind of takes the shape of whatever, like planet it's around or interacting
Mm-hmm.
with. It's very neither this or neither that. It just kind of embodies the aspects of the other planets that it's in or the sign that it's in. So Mercury and Scorpio is really here to like support Mars, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And before we get to
Sorry.
these ingresses into Scorpio, no, 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 you're fine. Um, I do want to mention that we can think of the first day of October as like the birth of the month, right? It's like it's the initiation of this month. And I think it's interesting that we start, let me think if I just do it like an hour or so. We start on October 1st. We have, like we just mentioned, that Mercury Jupiter square. But the moon meets Pluto on October 1st. And of course, the moon meets Pluto. The moon conjoins Pluto every month.
Right.
But I think it's interesting that it's happening on the first of the month that we're getting that moon entering into Aquarius, joining Pluto, and Pluto has a big footprint on the month of October,
Yes.
talking about those ingresses into Scorpio, because everything that enters into Scorpio first has to talk to Pluto.
Right.
But even before we get to that, do you want to talk about the Aries full moon? Because that happens the day before
Yeah.
Mercury moves into Scorpio.
So we've got a
Let me share. Can you see this chart now?
yes, I can.
Okay. On October 6th at 8:47 Pacific time, whatever time that is for everyone else in the world, we have this beautiful full moon popping up.
She's pretty.
She's pretty. She's pretty. And this is the full moon that I was born under. And mine was actually, my sun's at 15 degrees. This one, the sun's at 14 degrees of Libra. The moon is at 14 degrees of Aries. This is my full moon. So it's a couple days before my birthday. And I'm excited to see her.
Yeah, I think she's a really well supported full moon, to be honest. And also
Mm-hmm.
she's a super full moon, so we'll be able to see her really closely up to the earth.
Big
Which is
and bright.
lovely, lovely, lovely Aries energy. I think, you know, um being ruled by Mars and Mars being in its domicile and kind of in its nighttime home, and then the moon is in its daytime home with Mars. Mars is
Yes.
shining throughout this whole thing. And also, side note, my Mars is at 15 degrees Cancer. So I love all this. It's emotional, but it's emotional in all the right ways. I read in the book Lunar Gospel by the wonderful Cal Garrison that Aries is the one sign that is completely fine being on its own. Like it doesn't really need anything in anyone. Um, so it's got this emotional feeling of like independence, of sustainability, of like I can hold myself up. Yes, I'm feeling a lot. I'm feeling intensely. I'm feeling deeply, but I can hold myself up. And I think that
Mm.
that's super important and super supportive. And then of course, with every full moon, we're looking at the axis, right? The moon is
Mm-hmm.
talking to the sun. They're at opposite ends of the sky on the chart. And it's about finding a balance in between the Libra and the axis part of our charts with understanding as the moon, becomes full and then sheds all its light again, that we can't relate to other people. It is detrimental and obviously like not very responsible of us to relate to other people from a place of inauthenticity, right?
Mm.
Not until you are absolutely like cool with yourself and like have a real connection with your truth should you go out and relate to other people, right? So
Mm.
because then those relationships that you'll make they'll first of all they'll fall apart. They will be based on falsities and lies that we tell ourselves about who we are, who we want to be. And in Latino culture we have this saying that is so true to this axis for me, that it says, dime, muéstrame con quién andas y te digo quién eres, which is to say, show me who you're with. I'm going to tell you who you are. Right.
Mm.
So it's like making sure that the people you are relating to are truly a reflection, a mirror of who you are authentically inside, and that, that you're all working towards your highest good. Full
Yeah.
moon.
And making sure that you like experience that independence and you can kind of root back into the independence of Aries in order to show up authentically for that Libra axis. Again, as a natal Aries full moon, I really need to hear what you're saying right now, friend.
Yeah, no, I love it. I was born under an Aries new moon. So this elimination
Mm.
cycle for me, this is kind of like a grown ass moment for me.
Oh, I love that. Oh, and there's so much independence in yeah, a little double Aries situation, but the Aries Libra axis is a tough one to reconcile when it is impacting you really personally. If this is in your first and second or first and seventh houses, or it's in your 10th and fourth house axis, and it's really hitting personally, it's a tough one, I feel like, to reconcile because of that. I mean, the sun's in its fall. Like the sun is not happy in Libra. And I'll just say, as a Libra sun, I notice this in myself. As soon as Libra season hits every year, I like want to crawl into a hole. Like I want to I suddenly feel I can suddenly really feel that influence of the other
Yeah.
on the self. And there's a self-consciousness in Libra of like, I can't ascertain or understand who I am unless I can like put myself in the shoes and in the mindset of everyone else around me. And there's this sense of just like always being seen and being watched. And so for me, as soon as Libra season hits, like it's actually been really frustrating me the last week since the moon has moved or since the sun has moved into Libra, because I'm supposed to be like promoting my birthday party event and like promoting the podcast and sharing all of these things, and I'm suddenly like, no, don't look at me. Like I need to figure out who I am. Like my Aries moon gets all agitated. I'm like, like I just need to be independent. Leave me alone. Um so there's a little bit of a struggle there, but but it also invites us into some sociability, and that anywhere we have struggle and conflict, anywhere we have these tense aspects of these oppositions or squares, as we're definitely about to talk about some of these squares, there is an opportunity for growth and maybe better understanding the self when we have that wild Aries moon trying to be so fierce and independent. We can understand a little bit more of who we are as individuals, and how that helps us to be in better relationship with one another when we are, like you said, living more authentically.
Yeah, and I in this other part of the book of Lunar Gospel, because I can't take any credit for this brilliant train of thought. Cal Garrison, who's also a native Aries moon, she talks about how unfortunately, because the Aries moon people are so okay being on their own, um, they they have a really hard time understanding or knowing what love is. So, in her words, she said the Aries moon people come into this life not knowing love, never have known. And
Mm,
I was like, ugh. And I think a lot of the work that I'm doing right now, especially for the Come As You Are Astro Co-op conference, has to do with how we learn so much when we go through grief and like
mm,
passages that are painful, but we don't really take a lot into consideration what we learn when we when we're loved, when we're loved back, when we are given that love that we like, so unconditionally pour out to other people. When we're given that love back, we sometimes forget the lesson in that. And so in Aries and all its glory and independence and you know emotional emotional independence, we forget all the great lessons and actually letting ourselves be loved by the people around us. And I think that's what Libra teaches Aries. And I think that's the trade-off, because Aries can teach Libra like, hey, here's how to be on your own, here's how to stop relying, or
mm-hmm.
here's how to stop depending on other people's opinion of you, blah blah blah, your values out, outside of what other people think of or your worth. Aries teaches Libra a lot. What does Libra teach Aries? You are radiant when you let other people love you.
Mm-hmm.
You are supported when you let other people support you. You go higher when you have people that are behind you clapping and that are actually in collaboration with you. So I think that that's one way to reconcile, but it's
Mm-hmm.
difficult. It's very difficult, because then of course people are unreliable and messy and spread thin and you know
They don't do things fast enough for Aries.
exactly.
I'm getting like the metaphor of like a relay race, because Aries like wants to go so fast and wants to like have this like athletic prowess and this movement, and this idea of like the relay race of like you can actually go a lot further. You can take that baton so much further if you're allowing it to be passed on. Like if you're in collaboration with others, then everyone's energy then gets to like push things forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I mean, and
Yeah.
still regardless, speaking about this moon, like I said, she's well supported.
Yeah.
Mars is doing her a solid favor. There's a lot, like I said, a lot of intensity, but a lot of resolve with some, because something that Scorpio does well is alchemize.
Mm.
It's the blending of that Libra and Aries energy. It's the, okay, how do I transmute this into something that's actually going to serve me in the end, for my better good? And as we know, Scorpios are obsessive with getting to the bottom of things. So I think that whatever comes up for people during this full moon, it will be intense, but it will feel resolved. I think it'll feel really resolved.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. And very, very like at the moment of this full moon coming exact, we have just had Mercury ingress into Scorpio. Mercury is not even to 1 degree of Scorpio. at the moment of this full moon. So Mercury Scorpio with Mars there. There's like secrets. There's secrets happening in October.
I love looking at the astrology of October like on a yearly basis because I'm like, how hell does October always feel so Halloweeny? Like it's
Always,
it's always
Libra.
so Halloween like.
Libra season is the start of fall, Libra being the
Mhm.
cardinal air sign. You know, we enter fall. I always think I'm wearing my little pomegranate necklace today. Of course, my business being called Persephonic, I defer to and honor sweet
Yeah.
Persephone and the moment of what we had in the middle of September with the sun moving into Libra. That's the moment that she starts her descent. And
Mhm.
so as we get into October, we're getting deeper into the underworld. And I like to think of Scorpio season as the moment when Persephone, makes it down into the underworld. She finally gets to sit on her throne
Yeah.
and begins ruling as goddess of hell, goddess of the underworld, the queen of the underworld. And then of course, like Scorpio just is so spooky, like as a vibe, because it's like it's this deep water. It's like a little icy in a lot of ways, like fixed water. I think of like underwater caves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always get so excited for October is always my favorite month of the year, despite the fact that I like, as I've mentioned, kind of crash out as soon as Libra season happens, because when we get into the second half and then we get into Scorpio season, I kind of prefer that energy.
Of course.
But yeah, things get a little spooky.
Your Mars and Scorpio, it's your stamina, it's your will, it's your drive, it's your so I think
Yeah.
of course that's happening for you. I think Mercury in Scorpio for me is the detective, right? It's not necessarily like, oh, secrets are coming to the surface. We're going to read.
The secrets aren't coming to the surface.
Right. No,
Not easily.
no, they're getting delivered in a manila envelope under your door, and do what you will with this information.
Yeah. This is a good time for like hunting down the information that you need. This is a good time for Mercury and Scorpio is like, if you're trying to figure out if your best friend's boyfriend is cheating, that's a really good time to dive into the Instagram follows and the likes. And like now you're looking at LinkedIn and now you've found his like side piece's address on Google Maps. And that's for like some serious detective work. Absolutely.
Everyone that's working for the FBI for free is gonna do really well during this transit. And then additionally, like I mean, for me, Scorpio's my third house. So I'm in this research mode. I'm writing my hands away. I'm like discovering certain truths. I'm diving into deeper, darker subjects that maybe are a little bit too heavy for other parts of the year. It's a very good. I feel like it's Twin Peaks at its core.
And that's okay. And maybe not Twin Peaks. I mix up these two TV shows all the time because they're similar eras and they just like go in the same place in my brain. But Twin Peaks and the X-Files,
Yeah.
I mix up all the time. And my boyfriend has been like so into the X-Files for the last few weeks. And that's also a similar vibe of like, we're finding out what aliens and ghosts the government's hiding from us.
Exactly. And I mean, additionally, eventually, because Mercury is Speedy Gonzalez, once it does touch Mars, I think of more of a sharper tongue. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
I feel like a lot of stand-up comedians have that conjunction, that Mercury-Mars conjunction. And
it's like roast energy.
Yeah,
Comedy Central
like
roast.
real assholes with a little bit of sarcasm, a little bit of sarcasm here and there. That's Mercury and Mars in general, though, right? In Scorpio,
Oh, sardonic, nihilistic, like can give
hurt.
you a good lashing if you need it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they feel like in Scorpio it's gonna hurt a little more, for sure.
Absolutely. It's that tail. It's the scorpion's tail coming out. One of the things that we're gonna have lots of ingresses into Scorpio. We have Mercury coming first, and then the Sun, of course, is gonna enter into Scorpio. And this is the first. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the first true Scorpio season with Pluto in Aquarius. I could be off on that. I actually did not fact check myself on there. But it's at least we are in an era now for the next, 18, 19, however many years Pluto is going to be in Aquarius, where anytime we get planets moving through Scorpio, they're going to make the square to Aquarius.
Yes.
And with Pluto being so early in the sign right now, Pluto's at not even a degree and a half and moving retrograde. As soon as planets enter into Scorpio, they're immediately squaring Pluto.
Yeah.
And so when I was thinking about this, I just saw this like incredible vision. Like a square is a tense aspect. There's an uncomfortable, like confrontational almost kind of conversation going on here between any planet that enters Scorpio and Pluto. And Pluto, of course, we can see as, it's not in the traditional rulership scheme because it's not a planet that traditional ancient astrologers were aware of. But many modern astrologers have drawn the connection between Pluto's themes and the sign of Scorpio. So I kind of am seeing Pluto in Aquarius kind of like in this gatekeeper role, this bodyguard role, kind of like the big boss who's like shaking down anyone who enters into the sign of Scorpio. But coming from this perspective of, because when it was in Capricorn, there was still an aspect there, but it was a sextile. It was a gentler aspect. But now as the square, I see like Pluto kind of being the lord of the underworld, standing guard at the gates, and anyone who's entering in is like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do things a little bit differently this time. Because it's in Aquarius, it's in this like sign of radical revolution, innovation, new changes. It's what's, Pluto in Aquarius is bringing us this like insane AI age that's been happening. So Pluto in Aquarius acting as this like early gatekeeper, like 1 degree gatekeeper to anything that moves into Scorpio. It's kind of giving everybody the shakedown on their way in.
100%. And it's also kind of like, I think whenever Pluto was in Capricorn, and I like to look at things, from like an evolutionary standpoint. Like for me, Scorpio is ruled by both Mars and Pluto. I'm sorry, that's just the truth of it. For me, so for me, it's like when it was in Capricorn and sextiling Scorpio, it was kind of like assembling the people that the big mob boss wants in La Familia, so to speak. And it's like, okay, yeah, welcoming in all these like helpful hands. And now it's kind of like, what are you doing in my house?
Yeah.
What are you here? I have to make sure that like you're worthy of coming into La Familia, the family, you know what I mean? Like, are you going to help me with my world vision, or are you just gonna like fuck shit up, or so to speak? Like I think Pluto,
the CEO has transformed, like some shit went down and the CEO has transformed into the mad scientist evil genius.
Yeah. And are you going to help, or are you going to like,
are you going to get the fuck out?
You got to like come through and help out, or you got to get out of my way because I'm here to like revolutionize, shake things up. And then of course, Pluto being retrograde is kind of working backwards to reassess and rethink about how we can move forward. I feel like that's really displayed in a lot of the pushback we're seeing against AI right now. Like a lot of people are actually like, oh wait, hold on, we're wasting water, or like, oh wait, hold on, that's not really needed. Like I just saw this article about
Our brains are dissolving.
it's like it's so exhausting, honestly. I didn't think I'd be this tired of it so soon, but like I saw this thing about the first AI like actress to have like representation and actual management and act with people on screen, but it's fully AI. And then of course we have the top rated R&B artist on Apple Music is AI, completely owned by like
I didn't know that.
yeah. Yeah. And so right now with the actress, like a lot of Hollywood's pushing back, like about the hundreds of other actresses that fight tooth and nail every day to get a job and a role. And it's like a New Zealand AI company. And the creator of this AI is arguing that that she is art. So yeah.
I hate the AI age. I am so resistant to it, and I love that you just read this article, and a couple days ago, I just read Chani Nichols in her kind of like weekly email that went out, put out an article about how like AI cannot replace an astrologer because, half of what it spits out about astrology is just incorrect. And then it also can't draw the same kinds of connections that we're making because so much of the information that we are learning, especially as in terms of traditional and Hellenistic astrology, comes from knowledge that it's not online to be fed to the algorithm. It's from books,
Yeah.
and it's from like people who have read those ancient texts and translated them and then are verbally teaching us and like passing down that information.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't fuck with the AI right now. Although I will say the platform that we're recording this episode on and that I record all of my podcasts on is incredibly like AI powered and infused.
Yeah.
But I never use the like generative features.
I'll tell you what I use Chat GPT for. I use it for translating captions. And then I use Grammarly, which is like one of the oldest systems for writers on the internet for grammar checks. And that's of course AI nowadays. But yeah, I don't have it retain any knowledge. I don't ask it for anything. I'm just like, can you just translate this to Spanish so I don't have to go through every single accent mark? Everything. Like, that's the
awesome.
only thing I'm using it for. And I think, Pluto also goes direct this month. So we'll definitely see an uptick regardless.
Yeah. Do you know what day? I didn't write that one down in my notes. What day does Pluto station direct?
Pluto stations direct on October 13th.
October 13th. Okay. And that is also the day that let's get to the 13th and 14th because we've spent over an hour talking about the first
before we
week.
do that, I do want to give one shout out to a very helpful sextile of Venus.
Well, okay, what day are we looking at? Let me get there.
October 8th.
Oh, you mean my birthday? You mean my birthday? Yeah. On October 8th?
That's the beautiful thing about Virgo and Cancer is that they sex
Venus. The Venus Jupiter. Is that what we're looking at here?
Yes.
Oh, that gets baked into my solar return chart. Look at that 15-degree Libra sun there. This is my solar return chart right here. And I've got, this is great. Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, no, you're so welcome. I love that October 8th is just, I think it's helping the culmination of eclipse season, the full moon, all of that. You get immediately supported by this very helpful energy. And then, like I was saying, I think Venus and Virgo, Jupiter and Cancer, I think Virgo and Cancer are the nurturers of the zodiac. They are the caretakers. They are Cancer is the mom, Virgo is the nurse. right? And so it's going to be super helpful for nurturing ourselves, nurturing our bodies, nurturing more of, like we were saying, with that intake. Ketu has helped us purge. At this point, I think Venus has passed a little bit, K2 anyway. And then
it's like 7 degrees past at this point.
yeah, and while a sextile between Venus and Jupiter is extremely helpful in a rising kind of way, and it can only like get better from here. It sets the stage. It sets up the
Yeah.
for an opposition to Saturn that kind of like
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily kick you off the cloud, but it does like slap you around a little bit and asks you like, what are you committing to now that you're in this really great place? Can you stay here? Are you disciplined enough to stay here, to hang on to this goodness, to hang on to this high, to be at this more elevated version of yourselves? And what's the plan? How do we do that?
Yeah. Jupiter is like helping to fortify
Mhm.
Venus emotionally very much
Exactly.
before she hits that like I was gonna say reality check, but it's Saturn in Pisces, so it's like fantasy check.
Yeah, it's a fantasy check. It's about it's like measuring what we sacrifice for unconditional love and the collective good, right? Like Virgo to a degree is still very it's a little bit me. And then Pisces is a little bit more like all of us. And it's like, okay, well, this is what I'm willing to give to all of us, and this is what I'm keeping for myself. And because I need myself and I can't, give too much and I'm spent. And that is such a reflection of the same Libra Aries axis as well. So it's kind of very much like what was it in my notes I have? Mutual learning to trust mutual support. And then also like how to be responsible with love. Being a responsible lover, being a responsible partner, being a responsible part of the collective, of a group, of whatever, means like the autonomy and authenticity that Virgo and Aries help us with.
Yeah. That independence of Virgo being symbolized by the Virgin and meaning someone who is just unto themselves. Absolutely. There's an interesting dialogue there between Virgo and Cancer. Wow, love that little supportive trine.
Yeah.
And then let's see. Okay. And then it's on the 11th, on October 11th,
correct,
that we have, let me move forward to that we have Venus, and we'll feel it even, I mean, gosh, even on the 8th that we're looking at, we're getting close. On the 9th, we're 2 degrees away.
yeah.
So moving
Yeah,
close
first
into,
aspects happen days after and days before they peak, energy peaks, and then we keep going.
yeah, so that peak on the 14th at like 20, basically 27 degrees. Saturn is basically at the 27th degree, getting that opposition. So our little not reality check. And Venus is still ruling the sun. It's still Libra season. So hitting that Saturn opposition, it's uncomfortable. It's pretty uncomfortable.
But it's so necessary before she
Yeah.
ingresses into one of the most important aspects of 2025 and her domicile.
I'm very excited for Venus to ingress into Libra and give a little bit of relief to the Libra placements. And things get kind of wild from here.
Yeah,
So on the 13th, Venus is going to ingress on the 13th. Oh, look, it took me to 29:59. Let's move an hour forward. Venus into Virgo. Gosh, no. Venus out of Virgo into Libra. And at that point, immediately making the opposition to Neptune. So Venus in Virgo has its opposition to Saturn. Then it moves into Libra. At least it's gaining some strength here. to have that opposition to Neptune in Aries. How do you feel about that opposition?
I mean, okay, for me, Venus is like the planet of relational love, and then Neptune is the planet of like unconditional love. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that opposition sign is like a plane flying too low. Um, I think that opposition is extremely supportive of like creating again. Venus has just come off this opposition to Saturn, and then it enters the sign of Saturn's exaltation, right? So Saturn is exalted in Libra, and it kind of like is passing Venus off with this knowledge from their recent opposition into Libra, and then she immediately opposes Neptune, and it's kind of like don't lose sight of that responsible lover. Don't lose sight of that responsible partner of who you are in your relationships, even though Neptune is going to sell you this dream of like fierce independence. And like Neptune in Aries for me is like S everybody in the club. Uh, it's big ego dreaming. It's big sense of incorrect sense of grandeur, right? A misplaced sense of grandeur is Neptune and Aries for me. It is a very nice force to have behind any creative project, anything you want to launch forward, sure. But it does kind of asks it asks Venus, like, did you learn the lesson of being a responsible lover? Did you learn the lesson of sacrificing or what you shouldn't sacrifice for the a collective idea? Like, can you have the responsibility of a good partner, of a good lover, while still going for your dreams and achieving harmony in your interrelational relationships? It doesn't scare me as much as it just like makes things really pink and pretty.
Oh, it scares me
Why?
with
Why?
my Virgo or my Aries Libra dominant axis, and just knowing like you're giving me a really good reading right now, just knowing what is going on personally in my life and my relationships. Yeah, that's going to illuminate some things for myself. These are definitely some days to like pay attention to. The middle of the month just feels so astrologically active. I sent you that chart
Yes.
from the 14th, the day after this, and I'm putting it out here and now. I've told people in my personal life, I don't know what is going to happen, but I
Let's
think
go.
globally and probably interpersonally for a lot of us as well, the 14th is going to be quite a day.
I mean, it's
So
huge. It's absolutely huge. We have a grand trine. Um,
not just like as soon as, let's see, I've got to get it. There's very specific hours that I think shit's going to pop off because it's as soon.
I
Do you
go, ugh.
even want to go back? No, it is. This is how I want to show it. It is a little ugh. It is a little ugh. It's kind of crazy. There's 5 individual planets, some of them, half of them being slow moving outer planets that don't often come into formation. 5 planets in total, all making close aspects to one another. So hopefully I can illustrate this well. I see this, as I explained to Mar when I like frantically texted you. I see this as a 3-dimensional pyramid that's being formed with Uranus at the top here. So Uranus at 0 degrees, basically 1 degree, 0 degrees 52 minutes. Uranus making a sextile to the moon in Leo, because this specific formation really only occurs for the few hours that the moon is from like 0 to 2 degrees of Leo. That's when it's strongest. So Pacific time, that's like 5 to 7 a.m. on October 14th. Uranus here at about 1 degree, sextile to the moon in Leo in one direction, sextile to Neptune in Aries in the other direction, trine Pluto, trine Venus. We've got the grand Earth trine with the sextiles to the air sign, or to the fire signs, to Aries and Leo. And then the moon is opposite Pluto. Neptune is opposite Venus, who is just ingressed. And they're all, and even Neptune and Pluto here are making this sextile, and then the moon and Venus are making a sextile. So all Uranus, the moon, Venus, Pluto, and Neptune are all making aspects to each other. All of them are each making 4 individual aspects to the other 4 in that group of 5. And that shit's crazy, especially because it all points to, if we see this as a 3-dimensional pyramid, which is not like a traditional way to kind of think about aspects, but we have to remember that these planets are not all in the same plane. They're not in a 2-dimensional plane. They're in the space. They're making this 3-dimensional pyramid shape with the Earth in the center, because that's how we visualize the chart. And Uranus in Gemini is the point, the peak of that pyramid. And that, quite frankly, is a little scary to me.
Yeah. I mean, Uranus is it's the planet that I've written about. It's ingress into Gemini, and I think Uranus is the planet that kind of kicks down the door and does not care if you're ready or not. And it says, let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's stir shit up. Uranus to me is I talked about Pluto as being kind of mad scientist, but Uranus in Gemini to me is very mad scientist, and Pluto in Aquarius is like dictator, like
it's cult leader.
Cult leader. There we go. That's it. It's cult leader.
Yeah.
It's cult leader. Yes.
Yeah. Gemini is it's very quick for Uranus, which Uranus loves and adores. It loves to jolt things awake. It loves to change things up, right? We talk about the Uranus opposition that we all encounter at 42, and so it's like a mini midlife crisis, oh, I have to change or dye my hair purple, or comes to you in that time. So when we see an activation like this, especially having such a personal planet in there like Venus, if it was just the outer planets acting up, talking to each other, that'd be one thing. I'd be like, okay, yeah, we're gonna see something really huge collectively, but it's directly affecting us in our relationships, and then of course our emotional bodies. But the moon is also to be thought of as the people, right? The moon is the public. If the sun is us, our egos, ourselves, our identities, the moon represents also everyone else.
And the moon is in this, the biggest, the most intense aspect for the moon is that opposite to Pluto. And so you mentioned that's a kite. So we can see that this is what's referred to as a kite, where we have 2 planets in opposition, and then one of those planets is making sextiles to 2 other planets, and the other planet in the opposition is making trines to those same 2 other planets. But with this, it's a double kite.
Yeah.
It's 2 individual kites fully overlapped one another. So the moon as the people in Leo, I'm imagining a big, very visually striking protest happening with the moon in Leo and Venus at home in Libra.
Yeah, we just had in Nepal. Did you see the images coming out of Nepal? The Gen Z overthrow of the government, which was super positive, thank God.
And we know that Uranus in Gemini is major for the United States. I think Chris Brennan has done a good dive, history recap into Uranus in Gemini, has corresponded with almost all of the major wars that the United States has entered into.
Yes.
Thinking major wars, like World War I,
Civil War,
the Civil War, the ones that were very significant and kind of reshaped what life in the United States looks like. Those are all directly connected to Uranus and Gemini. So having that be kind of the peak and the point here, I do think American politics will pop off this week. And we're getting, I mean, Mercury is getting really close to Mars at the same time. It's not like playing in with this 0 to 1 degree whole crazy situation that's going on, but it's there, it's happening there. And so, with so much talk about the Epstein files, and these like deep, deep, hidden, dark secrets, that are, we know there's this like, it's this like murky hidden river flowing under American politics and entertainment, those two huge industries. I wonder if something is going to happen with that. And as I'm saying that, I'm also thinking, because obviously this plays a lot into how we have treated like women historically. And I'm thinking of Venus being at home in Libra. Venus in Libra loves like justice for all like marginalized people.
Yep.
So anyone who's like not a man.
Yeah.
And then Mercury coming into that conjunction with Mars, potential for some detective work to happen, some secrets to be revealed.
And it's they are not really aspected, so they're kind of free to operate on their own
Mm-hmm.
while everyone is
Mm-hmm.
dealing with whatever shakeup comes from that double kite. Additionally, I think it's so funny the US and Colombia are big mentions this week because of my president's speech at the UN. Got his
Mm.
visa revoked by the US government because
Oh
he
my
asked
gosh.
the US and Israeli governments to end the genocide in Gaza. And the US
Wow.
just straight up revoked his visa. So now, like, he can't go into the US, which means, he can't. I mean, you're supposed to not have any kind of laws like that when it comes to a diplomacy convention like the UN, but they revoked his visa. And that is, again, like a stripping of rights, a shakeup between countries, a shakeup between like two different ideals of society. And then, of
Mm-hmm.
course, we have more countries recognizing Palestine as a state. We have
Mm-hmm.
more people finally like signing petitions and talking about it more openly and things like that.
Yeah.
Wait.
And more countries kind of choosing to get involved
Yeah,
because we
yeah.
saw what was
Italy
happening in
trending.
Italy. Yeah. So I think at this point now, as of recording on September 29th, the flotilla that's headed to Gaza now has protection from Italy,
Yeah,
Spain,
and the U.
and I want to say Greece and Turkey
Yeah, yeah.
as well. I know it's 4 countries now, and those are the ones that if my memory is not very good,
No, I think
but
you're right. I think you're right.
yeah, I think it's those
The
4.
other only scary thing that I see out there, again, this is gonna hit collectively and it's gonna hit personally,
Yeah.
specifically because of Venus and the moon. It's gonna hit, our relationships and things like that. But collectively, I think the other kind of scary thing that I saw was that there's like a new classification of like Antifa, and if you are
Yes.
anti-American, if you are
Mm-hmm.
anti-identity or whatever, like there's gonna be like forces now that have the right to like search you, arrest you. I don't know. I didn't really dive into that news headline a lot, but I feel like it's gonna be a real battle for like balance and harmony and what's fair and just and everything that legal
Mm-hmm.
stands for, but then the crumbling of um, certain ways of life and norms that we're used to, thanks to some
Yeah.
Gemini. And it's gonna be it's this real outlandish thinking, right? It's this really outlandish thinking to where like most of us were like, how could you revoke someone's visa based on, a president of somebody of diplomacy, revoke some
Mm-hmm.
based on their stance on a war that like the US is funding, but it's not necessarily the US's war, right? Like,
Yeah. It's not even a
no,
war. It's
it's
not a
I'm
war.
sorry, yeah, but like
It's, yeah, it's just a direct attack on people who can't fight back. And
Exactly.
Venus in Libra does not like that. And thinking about what you brought up of this new development in the United States of being able to go after people just for expressing
Yeah.
discontent with the government, that the fact that it's the moon in Leo, this sign of self-expression.
Yeah. Exactly,
Yeah.
right? And so this outlandish way of thinking that governments like Israel and the US are trying to put on
Which feels very
well,
Neptune and
very
Aries,
new.
this outlandish
Yeah.
way of attacking and thinking about trying to justify violence through these like fairy tales and stories that they're creating about the Palestinian people as enemies and as like non-humans. Very outlandish.
Very, very outlandish. For the rest of us, it's a hard point to reconcile. It's a hard point to make sense. And we're not really like understanding. And that's what I mean. Like in the sense of of war, it's kind of like governments going to war with their people.
Yeah.
It's where I don't agree
Yeah.
with your outlandish senses of being. And it's hitting us all like lightning, right? There isn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily anything in the US outside of like climate change that garners the like there's no reason for the police forces to be out on the streets. There's no reason for ICE to be raiding people based on like their accent or the way that they look or any and all these Antifa new laws and whatnot. Like there's actually no real reason, rhyme, or logic behind it. And that is the outlandishness of Neptune and Aries, the lightning bolt of how quickly it's actually happening and
Mm-hmm.
the scenes coming out of Portland, Chicago, LA, Washington D.C., all of that, the quickening of the militarization of those things is Uranus and Gemini, and then the totalitarian vibe of it all, and everyone that's actually for these movements is Pluto and Aquarius.
Yeah. And I really wonder what all of this is going to look like, how these things are going to shift when we get Neptune moving out of Aries and back into Pisces for its last stint there. I will say we do get a really like shortly after this, like I wanna like Austin Coppock come up with some like really profound name for this pyramid. It's the pyramid of people's unrest. Like it's the outland. I love the word outlandish that you've been bringing in. Yeah,
Yeah,
and this terrifying Uranian pyramid. But a couple days after that, we do get the sun, and it's forming while we're here. But the sun does then square. I wrote in my notes. I wrote it as a trine. I wish. The sun is squaring Jupiter
yeah,
in Cancer, so we do get Jupiter and the sun aren't involved in this terrifying pyramid of people's unrest, but they do offer a little bit of nourishment a few days after the fact. So gosh, I can almost imagine this as like a huge protest erupting, and then, probably last whatever is going to happen is going to have impact
yeah,
over time. So eventually we will run into, within days, we'll run into that sun square Jupiter, and hopefully we can bring it as a square. So, not the most cohesive transit, but it is from Jupiter in Cancer, which is lovely. So we can bring a little bit of healing, hopefully, to our relationships
squares force
in.
action. Squares
Yeah, exactly.
action. They're
Exactly.
stagnant, they're oppositions. They're not like stalemates. It's
Hmm.
something's gonna give.
My idealistic, I have Neptune on my midheaven, so
It's-
I'm always quite idealistic. My idealism with this is like, okay, whatever happens on the 14th with this horrifying double kite, is enough to kind of jolt some of there's been so many rifts between families and people who had close loving relationships with each other. There's been so many rifts based on the political and cultic ideology that's running rampant. So I'd love to imagine this Jupiter in Cancer, like some people seeing like, whoa, we are in the bad place. Like things have gotten really, really bad. This is straight up fascism, and being able to maybe start initiate some action to start to repair some of those relationships, so we can get some more people back on the side of anti-fascism.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I hope so.
That's my idealistic, best case scenario thinking.
One can hope.
So then we have Mercury and Mars are going to conjoin a few days after this on October 19th. And that's perhaps when we'll have some more secrets may be revealed at this time. Potential. We'll have the moon moving in to join Venus and the moon and the sun in Libra. We're getting closer and closer to that new moon.
Lovely. Yeah, I think for this one, that Mercury conjunct Mars, it might even help the moon in Libra with like whatever secret is revealed, maybe like behind closed doors, but it will be the justice and the peace aspect and the people's balance with the two luminaries moving in closer to each other.
And this conjunction does it's loosely aspected to Jupiter in Cancer. There's a little bit of support from that trine there, that water trine.
Which is this other trine that we get to look forward to, right? Towards the end of it starts right around this time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry. What is it when it's 4 planets? Because technically,
what do you mean? What are we looking at?
Mercury is in water, Scorpio, Mars is in water, Cancer, Jupiter's in water, Saturn's in water.
Oh, it's still a grand trine, just because it's all trines, because they're just conjoined there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, still got a nice little water trine going on. Yeah, we really shift from the air trine to more of the water trine towards the end of the month. But before we even get there, we get to the Libra new moon on October 21st. Pacific time. This is happening at 5:24 a.m. So adjust that to your location. But October 21st, maybe the 20th, depending on your location in the world. 28 degrees of Libra. So getting towards the end, we're in that third decan. We do have the water trine coming into activation here. Neptune is still barely in Aries. 1 minute. 1 arc minute of Aries.
Yep.
But we've got the third decan of water signs coming into play with Saturn at 26 degrees, Mercury and Mars at 20 degrees, and Jupiter at 24 degrees of the water signs.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of playing a role in the new moon, because wait, is it? No. Because Mars is not ruling. No, Mars is not ruling anything. So that's just totally separate to the new beginnings that are happening in our relationships.
Yeah. And I said this about the Virgo new moon. Of course, this last one was an eclipse. It was at 29 degrees Virgo. So now we've kind of started this new moon cycle where we get new moons in later degrees of a sign.
Yeah.
And that to me is so helpful, because it carries with it so much wisdom from that side, right? So it's like we're a little bit more specific with the seeds we're planting. We're a little bit more mature and realistic in our expectations of what we want around a new moon. So with it being in Libra, I think again we touch on that responsible lover sort of scenario, the responsible and diplomatic um role in society, right? Like again, Libra isn't just flowers and love and Valentine's Day. It's justice. It's the warrior for the people.
Absolutely. And I did mention this when we talked about the new or the full moon. But that Aries Libra axis, something that I've always paid attention to because let me get back to there we go. Because that's my natal full moon. Two notable kind of like powerhouse political forces in the United States were also born under an Aries new moon or Aries full moon. I'm sorry. I'm getting sleepy now. But one AOC and one Kamala Harris were both born under that Libra Aries full moon, sun in Libra, moon in Aries.
Yeah.
So there is so much of that like justice force there. But while you were talking about the new moon, thinking about it at this later degree of Libra, I wanted to look up the Sabian symbol for
Yes.
28
Let's
degrees
do it.
of Libra. So I looked this up from sabiansymbols.com, and this says, let's see, I wanted 28 degrees, not 29 degrees. Let me look that back up. Libra, 28. Boom. Here we are. Mankind's vast, enduring effort for knowledge transfer from generation to generation. So speaking of handing down knowledge, handing down wisdom from generation to generation as the symbol. So the Sabian symbols, there's a phrase which gives like imagery and symbolism for each degree of the zodiac. And so, I'm on the wrong chart. Here we are. And so for 28 degrees of Libra here, that is the symbol, mankind's vast enduring effort for knowledge transferable from generation to generation.
Exactly. So with this we have, like I said, it's a mature new moon. It wants to give you what you want, but it has to be grounded in reality. And also, again, with that air sign quality of like for the greater good. So like I always tell people like new moons are perfect. Well, and they're not eclipses. Perfect for planting seeds, right? They're perfect for planting seeds. What do you want to come to fruition in 28 days? What kind of harvest do you want to collect? And again, we think about the things we want to take in. And we can be really idealistic with new moons, especially in earlier degrees. We can be like, well, I want this, seemingly long-term goal. It's going to take me years. Or you could be a little bit more realistic, get something that is attainable within a month or two of this lunation, and really plant those seeds and kind of like drive your focus there so you can because I think it's important for us human beings, for us when we accomplish things, I mean when we see goals all the way through, you know what I mean, to get that sort of sense of validation. So instead of like wishing for all your hopes and dreams and like planting a seed on a new moon in Libra, like I want world peace. It's not gonna happen yet, or in your lifetime anyway. You can plant a smaller, more attainable goal and seed at that time. That does benefit the peace of a group of people, and this mature new moon will definitely support that. A little younger
Yeah.
new moon.
It's a well-resourced new moon as well. I love that this new moon is ruled by Venus here in her home sign with Libra. And it's nice because Venus is not right up in that new moon situation. One of the things that we've been learning when it comes to conjunctions is conjunctions with the sun can get a little bit tricky because the sun's light can just be like, it can just blind out, like be too radiant. And planets that get too close to the sun kind of like defer their power to the sun. But here Venus is she's in the same house, she's there, but she's far enough away that she can maybe retain a little bit of her own sense of self and individual power to provide assistance to the new moon rather than being so directly wrapped up in it. And the part of fortune here too. I didn't even notice that until just now. It's like Venus
Oh, well,
close to the part
yeah.
of fortune. So there's a lot that we can stand to gain from this new moon, especially on a personal level and especially on an interpersonal relational level, because we have the backdrop of that grand water trine bringing us like some emotional harmony, and then this new moon happening in a very relational sign. This bodes well for our personal and interpersonal relationships.
Additionally, I mean, I think it's a really important thing to point out that like both donations in October are really well supported. Really well.
Yeah. My God.
Actually,
Yeah, they are. Yeah. So the moon, both times that it's coming into that full or new
yeah,
moon is being ruled by a planet that's at home.
yeah,
So we have resources. We're well
yeah,
resourced this month. And so thinking back again to that, that middle of the month, October 14th, like crazy lineup of planets, it kind of happens like right in between. It's at like the midpoint between the full moon and the new moon.
yeah.
And so knowing that we're going into and coming out of that whole wildness very well supported, like how can we use our resources to their greatest potential, knowing that things are going to get a little dicey in the middle of the month.
And it's so good to also know that we're not just going from, a dicey situation to into the depths and vastness of our emotions, where the water trine is actually, I think of it as like a really well working water system. Like the dam walls have opened and the water is flowing, and it's not necessarily like a disaster. It's a good flow of emotions. They are not stuck, they're not stagnant, they're also not just like drowning us, right? We
Yeah.
are going with the current. It's like we've learned how to surf. It's like we've learned how to surf, and we're not just going from dicey to deep and dark, but into like, okay, I can navigate these waters. I know how to be here, and I've gained a lot of resources in the way. And wow, that was a close call.
Yeah, the waters are flowing. The waters are
Yeah.
absolutely flowing. And then coming back to our movable chart, let me bring this forward a little bit, because then we also get, the waters are flowing, and then that like kind of lord of the water, Neptune, joins the party on the 22nd, shortly after the new moon. We have the moon moving into Scorpio to join the party of that grand water trine, and Neptune comes back in. And I think that things are going to feel very different having Neptune and Saturn back in Pisces than they felt with them in Aries. And we only get it for a few months. Neptune and Saturn will be back in Aries, and they're going to be there to stay for a little while, but we do get Neptune kind of rejoining the party, which, yeah, like I said, I just think will feel different.
Yeah, yeah, I think we'll be touching back on the themes of like spirituality and what we can hold
Mm-hmm.
on to on an ethereal, esoteric level that like may be able to support us for the rejoining of those two planets in Aries.
And psychic protection. I think this trine here, especially with Mars in the mix, with Saturn and Neptune being in Pisces in particular, like this is a really good time towards the end of the month, like after we've gone through all the lunations, we've gone through the craziness of the middle of the month, as we're coming towards the end of the month and we're just about to enter into Scorpio season. The sun, if I go just one more day forward, we've moved firmly into Scorpio season. So now we have the sun, Mars, the moon, Mercury, Saturn, Neptune, and Jupiter all in water signs. This is a really good time to fortify the energetic and emotional body. This is a really good time to put up psychic protections. This is a really good time, if you don't know how to do that, to learn how to do that. To, myself personally, I'm actually going to be going through another Reiki attunement at the end of this month. Clearing everything out and giving myself an opportunity to kind of re-guard, reinforce, put up like the armor, the emotional armor, which can be a negative thing when we're needing to open to relationships. But Venus is still in Libra, like we're still able to kind of have that communion, but we don't need everyone else's like fucked up vibe getting into our energetic field.
It's a really good time for boundaries, testing them, like, putting them up, especially not just emotionally, but like mentally. Now that we kind of like have calmed down from that air trine, our minds are a little bit clearer, especially with Mercury trining both Jupiter and Saturn right after Scorpio season begins. We get Jupiter October 24th or 23rd, depending on where you're at. And then we get Mercury trine Saturn, right? So this is our minds are able to take on a lighter role while we do the work to guard our hearts and our emotions. And I'm starting therapy. I'm so excited.
Yes, love that.
Yeah. And, I look forward to like being able to rely on another human relationally, Venus and Libra, start this collaboration to get my emotional world under some sort of the flow, under that
Getting that flow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what a grand trine is all about, is that flowing harmonious energy amongst all signs of one element. So, of course, with the start of Scorpio season, so Scorpio season begins on October 23rd. At any time anything is ingressing into Scorpio for the foreseeable future, they hit that square to Pluto. So there's like a little like road bump, like a little like argument, a little agitation, a little like almost like, God, Pluto's like, prove yourself before you can come into my house.
Yeah.
So we'll have that on the 23rd, but then we're really just in this water trine for a while. I think the end of October is going to feel so completely different from the beginning of October, and I think it's going to be in a nice way.
Yeah, I think of
Don't make me eat my words.
Not just Mercury trining and us having kind of like this clear mindset to go about our emotional things, but then Mars trines Jupiter and Saturn, kind of like repeating what Mercury's doing, and so we're really able to actually think before we act this time, which is what we don't do a lot. So I think that the end of October is a little bit more supportive that way, despite it feeling really like emotionally, I don't know. With Pluto, little tough entry, but also like, let's not forget he's the Lord of rebirth as well. So I think it's a renewal check. Like, are you ready to renew your emotional body? Are you ready to be reborn again, and flow into things a lot easier now that you've gone through all of this? Okay, cool. Go right ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Dive into the waters.
Yeah.
First, head into the cenote.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we've got one more ingress at the very end of the month. ingress where we get Mercury leaving Scorpio, saying goodbye to Mars after that nice little conjunction, the trines to Jupiter. I'm loving the trines to Jupiter while everything's moving through Scorpio. You enter Scorpio with a square to Pluto, and you leave Scorpio with a nice trine to Jupiter.
Yeah.
But then Mercury moves into Sagittarius, opposes Uranus, who's back at home in Mercury's home of Gemini. And so Mercury's not super happy over here in Sagittarius.
No, it has to focus on the bigger picture, and it has to expand outside of the details and immediate environment that it's in. And then, of course, being opposed by Uranus, it's kind of like, why aren't you thinking bigger? Why aren't you, you know what I mean? Like, why? What's with the slack, homie? Pick it up. And Mercury already moves so quickly, but Uranus is kind of like not quick enough.
Yeah, there's like, it's like Mercury's getting like shot by a lightning bolt from Uranus back at home.
Yeah. Which, I mean, like I said, Mercury moves really quickly. It will move quickly through Sagittarius. It'll move fairly quickly through Capricorn. And then, we'll talk about that. And then when November roll around and we enter another Mercury retrograde. But
yeah. The same day, though, we also have Mars trine Saturn, which, thank God it's not a square. I'm so over aggressive Mars-Saturn aspects.
I love Mars and Saturn, like, positive aspects, because I think it gives us the stamina, the energy, the capability to get done what Saturn wants us to get done. Like, a lot of the times the lessons in Saturn are so gloom and doom and gloom, and they're like hard to get through. But with Mars in it, it's kind of like, oh, I can run that fast. Oh, I did jump that hurdle. I did jump that obstacle. Okay, cool, great. And we're a little bit more prepared to deal with like obstacles.
Yeah, and Mars is in a great position for this trine as well. So being at home in Scorpio, and Mars is making the overcoming square, or the overcoming trine. So Mars is really kind of in control of this trine here. So I think that'll be helpful.
I think overall, and this is a really constructive month.
Oh, yeah. I think especially the end of the month. I think there's a lot to work through in the beginning and the middle. The middle, I think, is really going to bring us like the major plot twist of this season. If October is one episode of I don't know, of a TV show, or if all of October is a season of a TV show, the middle of the month is where we have that really major plot twist. But we are then set up to work towards resolve and resolution, or at least find some way to power through. I'm trying to think of like a watery metaphor for it. But yeah, I think the end of the month is looking more constructive.
Flow through. I think
flow.
It will allow
finding flow through
things a lot easier. Like I said, it's like the dams are open. The river is flowing. We're not stuck. We're not at a standstill. And I think it's at the same time with Mercury making all these important aspects, the communication, the ways that we relate to people, Venus and Libra, like, we're gonna find new alliances is another word I wrote down for Venus and Libra and Mars and Scorpio. So I think that it's shaping up to be definitely a month where we have all these things in front of us and we're like, okay, where am I gonna put it? What am I gonna build with it? Where am I gonna have it support me? Where am I gonna have it help me flow through things? And then having that for the plot twist, which are like, of course, things that are essentially out of our control. Like, whatever happens with that grand air trine, it's not going to be anything that we can control.
Absolutely not. That is fully out of our control, so Uranian, so Plutonic, so just like
Yeah.
big change. But that's the times that we're living in. So at least we have kind of more of that supportive energy afterwards to help us. Like there's no better word for it, to help us flow through all of that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. For sure.
Well, we did
We did
it.
it.
A good hour and 50 minutes in, we managed to discuss the entire month. Any closing thoughts?
I would just like to say that, despite everything that's coming and all the shakeups and everything else, like I think collectively and individually, we are emotionally prepared and emotionally supported to deal with all of this. That you are stronger than you think. And Mars and Scorpio, like I said, I mean, my whole practice is based around Mars. So like I think, it's that armor. You're well armed. You're a warrior, an emotional warrior in this kite trine opposition war, and that there's nothing to fear when Mars is on your side. So
Absolutely. Well said. And we're stronger together. It's our relationships that are really going to carry us through this, with so much in Libra and in so much in the water signs. Hold tight to the people that you trust, those who are closest to you, those that bring you nourishment emotionally, and the people that you just feel good around, because those are that's what we have as our defense against the air sign situation going on.
literally.
Yeah, we're stronger together, and absolutely, I'm thrilled to have Mars back in Scorpio. Mariana, where can folks find you out in the world, out in the socials?
I'm in one place. I'm in one place. I am on Instagram as at Con Amor de Marte. I also come up if you just search with love from Mars. I am available to DMs. You can WhatsApp me, you can email me. I'm very responsive. Really, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and are you taking clients right now?
I am. I'm taking clients I'm doing tarot readings, and I am super excited to be presenting at the Astro Co-op Come As You Are conference on October 18th and 19th, where I will be talking about exploring grief in the chart.
Beautiful, beautiful. No better person to do that than my fellow 8th houser over here. Awesome. And of course, you can find me. I am taking tarot and astrology clients at persephonictarot.com. My Instagram is persephonic777. If you are local to Tucson, please come to my birthday party. It's going to be so much fun. There's going to be flash tattoos, karaoke, all that good stuff. That's also on October 18th in the evening. So hit up Mariana's lecture and then come party with me. And I will have opportunities for in-person tarot and astrology sessions in Tucson, Arizona. So my locals, I love you. Come see me. And for anyone who's listening, if you enjoyed this forecast, please let me know so we know if we're committing to doing it all over again. This was so much fun. I want to thank you, Mariana, for joining me today. And I don't know how to like sign off on this one. I always sign off with my little tarot phrase. I don't know if it should be different for astrology forecast episodes. I think I'll just keep it the same.
Yeah, I know.
Thanks for listening. And as always, happy shuffling.